This is Tea Time with Robyn.
What is up, everyone? We are back again. Look at us. Number 6, episode 6, Tea Time with Robyn. What's going on? I hope everybody is well. What's up, Robyn? How are you today?
I'm doing fine. I know. It's like, I'm still taking
Decompress.
I'm still taking that deep breath. The Patriots game was great. I'm glad we all got through that. The players, the coaches, everybody. It kind of was almost an afterthought. But holy cow, what a game that proved to be. Right from the start. Nyheim Hines, I think, I don't know what to think about him, but I think he was like sent from heaven.
Something.
Yeah, because didn't that game just kind of like, okay, I took a deep breath and it was like, did he really score that touchdown? And oh my God, what a way to start this game. I feel so much better.
It was something that needed to happen, I think, because it's like, the elephants in the room. And you're like, okay, what are they going to do? And he just shot out of a cannon. And you're just like, what? You can release those emotions. And you're like, all right, okay, I think we're good. Okay. It was just one of those things that needed to happen for sure.
It did. And Josh Allen even said, one of the reporters asked Josh Allen, what did you think about that? And did you feel some sense of relief? And he was like, yeah, I did. What a great way to start out, go out with, 7-zip and you haven't even been on the field.
Yeah, because he had his helmet on, ready to go. And he was just like, all right. And he was like, all right, let me put the coat back on and sit down here for a little bit and
we're good.
See what we're doing. Right, exactly.
We're good.
So it definitely felt good. It was definitely an emotional game all the way through and I know we weren't going to start here, but it was one of those games where after everything was settled, you were like, all right, Buffalo, we can't play this game just on emotion itself. You really have to go out there and play this game because New England is fighting to stay in the playoffs. So you got to kick it in at some point. We have to kick it in and, kudos to them because they didn't really practice that week and, leading up to that game, but, they held it together and pulled that victory out. So that was great to see.
It was amazing when you think about it. And they must have been, I just can only imagine that the players were emotionally and physically spent at the end of that game. It's like, okay, now we can have a day to just like rest.
And with all the news coming out that DeMar is doing well and continue to pray for DeMar and his family, that he's doing well is just a godsend for sure. Like we were going Monday, Tuesday, we were just like, what is going on? Okay, he's still not, breathing on his own. And then as the week went on, it's like it get better and better and better. It's just like, thank you, Jesus. Like, for real. Like Josh said, there is a God. So, if you don't believe, I totally understand. But there was some miracle workings in that week.
Oh, absolutely. And if you are a spiritual person at all, it was mind-blowing. Absolutely mind-blowing. And all of the coincidences with the number 3 and I'm not superstitious or anything like that, but when you see all of these things happening, it just ties it all together. It's like a thread that just ties it all together. And it was a week. It was a week like I don't know that I've ever experienced as a fan. The absolute shock, and then every day drip, drip, drip of news and praying and hoping and wondering, and then seeing this tremendous thing that happened when, he became whole again, basically. And what we all experienced going through that, it was rough. It was rough, and it's going to be rough for a while.
Yeah. And in the midst of that, we had John Murph. we got news that he suffered a stroke, and we don't want to not, you know, give him his flowers because he is still here. Thank God. We have to, you know, notice that. I mean, I was, excuse me, I watched one Bill Drive, and when Chris got the news, he was, and I'm pretty sure they knew all along. But it was just, and I love Chris. I love his commentary. He is very animated, and I love that about him. So, I mean, you wouldn't miss a step when it came to John and Chris, but the fact that John's not there because he is Buffalo Bills. He's the voice of the Buffalo Bills. And for him not to be there, and with everything going on with DeMar, you're just like, all right, come on.
Really,
like,
truly. And Murph, you know, yeah, it was like, oh my God, this is too much. Because at first we heard that, he was sick and wasn't able to do the Bengals game. And Chris Brown started, that game and did the first quarter until DeMar's incident happened.
Right.
And we heard, I just assumed that, oh, well, his voice was gone because he had a cold or whatever, and he would be fine. And then we find out that he had a stroke. And I just want to say that my thoughts and prayers are with him and his family. I don't, obviously we don't know any of the details in terms of how deeply, he was affected, but we do know that with a stroke, you do have to be concerned. Is his speech going to be affected? Is he going to be able to come back and do more games? His career it's in limbo, at least until we know more information, about how he's doing in terms of his rehab, et cetera. And my commentary about Murph is, he's our connection to Van Miller, and Van was our very first, well, in the second year of the existence of the Bills on, he was the voice of the Bills, and Murph has been that voice ever since, and used to do color commentary with Van Miller. So, there's a deep rooted connection that Bills fans have with Murph. And so to feel like, oh my gosh, now we have another person that we don't know, what's going on, because we've all been praying and thinking about Kim Pagula.
Oh, absolutely.
And so, whatever happens for Murph, we obviously wish him the best. One of the things I treasure about Murph, and I always will, is the sound of his voice. He always had a very pleasant voice to listen to. That baritone, kind of voice that he had. So that's something that I'll miss. And in talking about Chris Brown, I loved listening to his covering the game, because you can tell that this is like a guy that's wanted to do this all of
a long, yes.
And he's having so much fun right now, and he should.
Yes.
And I like you, I have absolute love and respect for Chris Brown and One Bills Live. I love the show. It keeps us all connected. But
also too, Chris Brown replaced John on that show as well.
He did.
So yeah.
It's like the natural order of things. But I hope that we get to see Murph come back. If not this season, then next for sure. So
right. Crossing
fingers and
absolutely
in our thoughts and prayers for sure.
Absolutely. All right, we can move on. Is Sean McDermott,
I have my list,
should be considered coach of the year with everything going on?
Oh my God. Now, it was in The Athletic, I believe. I could be wrong, so I don't want to slander them. But there was an article that I read about the people who were, it might have been ESPN. I don't want to slander The Athletic. anyway, this article was listing all the candidates for Coach of the Year, and of course, McDermott was not named.
Right. Let me see if I can find it.
And I am just like, honestly, I can go on this rant because what?
Yeah.
After everything that he went through with Damar Hamlin and how he led the Buffalo Bills through this season that has been like the craziest season a football team has ever experienced in the history of the National Football League, and you don't even have him as a candidate, that's, to me, that's clickbait.
It is. You know what? And it was first year coaches. It wasn't Coach of the Year. Because I mean they got Brian Dable, they got Doug Peterson.
He's not a first year coach. Oh,
no.
With the Jags. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they had who else is here to do from? No, that's not. Oh, intern. Never mind. This is not the list. My bad.
So what? It doesn't matter. I'm not seeing Sean McDermott's name anywhere.
Right.
And I have a problem with that. And I'm sure you do too.
Yeah, I mean, Josh has a problem with it too because he said he's the perfect man to lead in this situation. Brandon Beane also spoke about it and said he's such a good leader. He knows how to kick people in the butt. He knows to be there when they need a hug. Like he knows how to, per se, read the room. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if you're a quarterback and if your GM is saying, in this situation, I see no other man leading these men out of this situation and what's going on in Buffalo. This guy he's the perfect coach to lead these men.
He is.
It says a lot. It says a lot.
It totally does. And the thing is that's funny about it, he won't care.
No.
He won't care a fig about any kind of award or anything like that because he is so selfless. Mm-hmm. He's one of the most selfless people that I think I've ever observed. He makes sure that nothing is about him. Mm-hmm. He always is quick to say that, when the Damar thing happened and people were asking him, how are you doing? Well, this isn't about me. That's kind of where he's always at. And the only other comment that I would make about McDermott is, and it has nothing to do with him being Coach of the Year, is that he's very religious and he's also very spiritual, which, someday you and I will get into a conversation about, the difference between religiosity and spirituality. Mm-hmm. We'll save that for another time. But the bottom line is he's both, and he's very comfortable with his religion, with his Christianity.
And he's comfortable saying it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's something that I think is to be admired. In a world, in a time, and I won't get preachy on this too much, but in a world, in a time when things are so divisive, it comforts me to see a man who is so comfortable with his Christianity in his skin. It just comes out of him. He lives his Christianity. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. He lives it.
I can't wait till we have a conversation about this because some people are uncomfortable speaking about religion and Christianity, which I understand. And, sometimes I may be uncomfortable as well, but not because of how you view me, because I really don't care. It's uncomfortable for people because of how I live my life. So I'll just keep it at that.
Well, we will, this is nuggets for future conversations.
Yes, for sure.
For sure. But Sean McDermott, and, circling back to that, I just want to, close in this part of our conversation that it's comforting. I am very comforted by the fact that he is who he is, and he has absolutely no qualms about being.
No apologies for it.
his authentic self.
Yes.
I'm not finding the right words, but that's what it is. His authentic self.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I don't know. He just makes you, because 6 years ago yesterday, right? He was chosen to be head coach of this team. And a lot of people didn't like the fact that he was going to be the head coach of the Buffalo Bills. People were so used to the Rex Ryan type of buffoonery. And before that, we had Doug, what was it? Oh my gosh, he took the money and ran. Oh, why I'm not thinking of his name.
Doug Whaley, are you thinking of?
No, Doug Whaley was a GM, but who was the guy the head coach that he coached for the Jags? I can't think of his name.
Oh, Doug Marrone.
Doug Marrone.
Yeah.
Hot mess.
It's a good name to forget.
Yeah. I knew it was Doug, but I just didn't know the last name. And I know it wasn't Doug Whaley. And a lot of people have their own opinions about Doug Whaley too. So
there were good things about Doug Whaley.
Yeah.
As a GM, I had question marks, but there were a lot of good things about Doug.
Oh, yeah. But we can get into, if you want to, moving on to the Miami game.
Yeah.
Or is there something? Okay. So we found out yesterday that Tua is not playing. It's going to be Skylar Thomas playing the rookie against these Buffalo Bills.
Skylar Thompson was a
Thompson, my bad.
Yeah, was a 7th round draft pick. And he's going to be playing the game of his life. That's for sure. And especially with our defensive line, and I'll get into this later, but the Bills are coming into the playoffs at a really, good time in terms of their returning to health.
Yes.
And we'll get into this in the next thing. But first, I want to say something because you knew this was coming. Everybody probably knows this was coming. We're talking about the Dolphins and Tua. My rant. I don't think Tua should be playing football anymore. But again, it doesn't matter what I think. He's going to do whatever he wants to do. But I have such an issue with the Dolphins and the way that whole situation has been handled. And I really wonder, I wonder what would have happened if Tua had been drafted by the Bills or an organization that handles things differently than the Miami Dolphins apparently do when it comes to player safety. But Tua's concussions are so concerning, and the fact that he is still in the concussion protocol this far out is concerning. It was like when Mitch Morse a couple of years ago had a concussion where he was out for a couple months, and I was hoping he would retire then.
Yes.
And I'll be very honest about that. I'm uncomfortable with him playing, but that's his decision.
Right.
It's not mine. But I worry about Mitch Morse as well.
Absolutely.
But Tua, no. And to be honest with you, I am so glad he is not playing because could the Bills fans take another horrible
tragedy on the field? No, absolutely not. And you know what? And I think some people may give us pushback because we're Bills fans and we're playing against the Dolphins. I said this when they were playing against the Bengals. Yeah, listen, I'm not a fan of Miami. I'm not. As a Bills fan, we're not fan of our division opponents. We're not. But here's the thing. If Tua came out there, I would be so concerned with our guys going after Tua and tackling him in a way of just tackling, he falls back. I don't know. It's a concern for me because, like you said, it's 3-4 weeks now, and he still can't pass concussion protocol. There is a problem there, and I don't know if it's the doctors not wanting to sign off and having your John Hancock on something saying he's fine to play, because you've seen last time someone signed off on it and then they got fired. So I don't know if someone doesn't want to sign off on it and lose their license or lose their job or whatever the case may be.
You make a good point, because like I mentioned in a previous podcast, the researcher who basically discovered CTE penned an editorial in the New York Times begging Tua never to play again.
Right.
And so any, in my mind, any thinking neurologist would be saying, I wouldn't sign off on it. I wouldn't sign off on it. I would
Even,
not.
but Robyn, even their fans are just, I mean, because, I go on these Twitter spaces and they're just at each other. Oh, Tua can play. They're just holding him back. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, yeah, they're holding him back for a reason.
To protect him.
Right. McDaniel said after that game, they lost. They went over the film and Tua couldn't explain why he threw this pass here, what he was seeing here. He told him to go down to the hall and go see somebody because you are experiencing concussion symptoms. That's not me saying that. That's your head coach saying.
You wonder about, the head coach and the whole organization. And I've said this before. I just have issues with the ethics and how they go about their business.
This does put some type of mark on that organization, but it makes them look bad. It makes them look bad. It does.
And now game. Okay, as far as the game, excuse me for
no, you're good
there. I have a couple of notes. We really need the run game to work in this matchup. I mean, obviously, I'm not worried about Skylar Thompson being a high scoring, guy. I mean, I could be wrong because we have Tyreek Hill. Let's not forget.
He got weapons back there. I mean,
and Waddle, although they may be a little bit injured. Both of them I don't think are playing at 100%, but regardless, they're to be respected. And the other thing is their defense is good.
Yes. A little banged up, but they're good. And who's not banged up towards the end of this season? Who's not? Who's not? Exactly. I mean, we might be the healthiest team out there on Sunday. I mean, we've had injury lists of stuff during this whole season. I mean, the Bills may be the healthier team out there right now, but I mean, who's not banged up? It's towards the end of the season. Everybody has ankles, whatever, all these bruises, but they're going to go out there and play. But I'll say this, if they see that Skylar is not handling what he needs to handle, and we're picking him apart, at some point during that game, you're going to see where Miami is just like, we're done. We're done. I say if we have a lead going into the half, coming out third quarter, by that third quarter, you're going to see Miami Dolphins just be done.
Yeah. The thing that I don't want to see is the Bills shooting themselves in the foot. That's my concern because, we all have seen the mishaps that have happened in the red zone lately.
On Sunday.
Exactly. And you can't have that happen. So you get down to the red zone, you need to get 7 points. And let's not forget the 2 games that we played against Miami have both been very close. And I expect this game may be very close as well, even without Tua.
I mean, because they have weapons. They have Tyreek. They have a run game. I mean, we need to stop the run because Mostert is, if he's playing.
He's not. Thank goodness.
So they did. They ruled him out.
I shouldn't say that.
You know what? I thought they ruled him out.
I thought they did too. But regardless, if he plays, he scares me.
Yes.
If he ate our defense the last time.
Yes, he did.
Yards or something like that. I was like, ugh, okay.
But not even him though. They have another guy back there too. Williams.
Forgot his name.
Yeah, he's good too. So you can't let up. The point is, as a Bills, you cannot let up.
And I don't trust McDaniels not to do some dirty stuff. I don't know what, but I don't know why. But that guy just doesn't, he doesn't sit well with me for some reason. It must be the thing with Tua. But, when somebody like that kind of taints my point of view, I have a tendency to look through a filter. And I don't like what that guy stands for, I guess. is kind of pretty much where I'm at with it. But
Well, here's a stat for you that McDermott does well against rookies. He is 10-3. The only ones he lost against rookies. And I didn't even know he lost against Sam Darnold, but he did. Sam Darnold, Lance, and Mac Jones.
well,
So
Mac Jones. I'm still laughing about Mac Jones. That he's a head trip for me.
yes.
I guess the other thing we want to talk about, if I can move on,
Yes, go ahead.
because I'm just so excited about this. The news that we got that Micah Hyde and Jamison Crowder were being taken off of IR, put on that whatever list that they had 3 weeks to get signed to the active roster. What do you think, T?
I mean, I don't like to move past the Miami game, but if we did, there's a possibility he can play. I seen that. I was like, oh my God, can he play on Sunday? And there's like, no, there's no way he can play on Sunday. I was like, all right, cool. So that means we definitely have to win.
Definitely have to win. I want to see him play again.
Yes.
Micah Hyde, if I can wax poetic for a second, I love him for so many, many reasons. He is kind of a heartbeat of our defense. And I said this when he went out earlier this year, that losing him was catastrophic.
Yes.
And I thought, okay, well, we'll try to get through. We have depth, blah, blah, blah. But my heart just sank when we lost him, because he's the Josh Allen almost of the defense. He's the leader. He's, everybody gravitates to him and his role on the field. And when him and Popo are together, they make music.
They do. And I, for the longest, we've missed that this season. And you can tell, and you could definitely tell in the back end that he's definitely being missed. He's not ruled out. He just said he didn't play, or he didn't practice yesterday. Not to go back to that, but yeah, possible that he may play. And you know what? When it came to Micah Hyde, did he go down a third game? Was it a third game or second game?
Second or third game, maybe.
Right.
Early.
The way it was early on, and the way it happened, it was just like he's on the cart just going to the locker room. You're like, what happened?
Yeah, for me personally, this is just an aside, but he had a herniated disc in his neck, and that's what happened. Well, it happens over nothing, because I had a herniated disc in my own neck that I woke up with.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's like, well, what did you do? Well, I woke up. and
that's all it took?
That's all I did it in my sleep, apparently. And it can happen when you have, if the disc was already damaged.
Gotcha.
And it was just kind of there hanging on by a thread, so to speak. And I would expect that's probably what happened, with Micah Hyde. But he obviously had a minimally invasive surgery, because there's no way that he would even be coming back at all.
Right.
Here, if he'd had a fusion or anything like that, that would know that.
Because I want to say that's what people were concerned, if he could be able to turn his neck and whatnot. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure if that was the case, he would not be out there.
No, they can tell what weight bearing he can take, and they have enough testing to be able to determine whether or not it would be appropriate for him. And he's passed every test along the way. So I'm good with it. If he feels comfortable and the doctors feel comfortable, I'm comfortable, with him coming back. And putting his medical issue aside, having him back fresh.
Yes.
Yesterday he said, he goes, I've never felt this good in January.
I know everybody's sore in the ice buckets, and he's just like, I need none of that.
I'm ready to go.
I'm ready to go.
I'm ready to go. And so having him back, in my mind, is so significant for this defense. Just incredibly significant.
Yeah, because Johnson and oh my gosh, with the safety,
Marlowe,
they're not it. I mean, they're there. No disrespect to neither one of them. They're just not it. They're filling in. They're the backups for a reason.
And Popo, I call him that because I love him. Popo, he's been on a bum knee.
Yeah, knee and elbow,
elbow, exactly. So he's not even 100%. But
right.
Micah just takes everything and puts it all together. He'll make Tre'Davious play better by just being there.
And fresh eyes, Robyn. Fresh eyes.
And big eyes in terms of he sees the field. He's like the field commander because he can see what's going on. He knows what's coming, and he can disguise. Belichick has said this, that Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer can disguise themselves so much. He has absolutely no idea what coverage they're in. And he said they do it better than any safety tandem that he's ever seen, which is high praise.
Yes, it is.
High praise.
Yes, it is.
So that's my Micah Hyde lecture. But
no, I'm happy. I can't wait. Like I said, we got to definitely take care of business when it comes to
Jamison Crowder. I don't want to get out.
Yes. This is why we brought Ed Beasley back.
Yes. So now I feel better about this stable of running, wide receivers that we have. I feel better about it. I feel much better about it. And, one other quick note, because I want to know what you think about this too. I really wish people would stop as bad, as tough as it's been for Gabriel Davis this year. I really would like the slander to slow down because I don't think it helps anybody. And yes, is it right to criticize him for dropping passes that he should have caught? Yes, absolutely. I get it. But I think sometimes on social media, it gets reverberated to the point where it's not helpful.
Expectations. As fans, we have expectations when it comes to our teams and our players. I'm pretty sure Gabriel Davis has expectations too. And I'm pretty sure Gabriel Davis didn't want to drop the balls that he's dropped this year. So from 1 year playoff run for Gabriel Davis, and he's catching all balls out of this world, to the next year of our expectations for Gabe Davis was to step into the number 2 position and just go ablazing. Guess what? It didn't happen. Are we upset? Sure. But don't lose focus that he's working. And we don't even know what's really going on because there's something going on. We don't know. Maybe he still have a bum ankle. Maybe he does. And it'll probably come out after the fact. So I'm fine with it. Listen, if Josh is fine with it, I'm fine with it.
Josh is still throwing him the ball.
Yes, he had a drop. Ooh, that I would have loved for him to catch, but he didn't cost us the game.
Yeah.
So, and not even that. In the beginning of the season, he had one of those balls. Pittsburgh. He took the ball away. But you know what? We're flaky fans too because we're like, oh my God, Gabriel Davis. Exactly. 2 weeks later, you know what? I can't stand Gabe Davis. He can't catch a freaking ball.
Stop it. Yeah.
You got to chill. You have to chill. The roller coaster ride is ridiculous. It's fine to get off sometimes.
Well, the other thing is we also know what he's capable of doing.
Absolutely.
When Absolutely. And maybe he's going to light up in the playoffs again. And if he does, I'm going to go after every person that said that, he's a POS or whatever. I just think it's unnecessary.
And let me ask you this, Robyn. So if Gabe Davis was to be that legit number 2, do you think that the Buffalo Bills could afford that?
That's a good question because this year is when Josh Allen's big money kicks in. And I don't think we know what the salary cap is going to be yet.
No.
If we do, I know it's going to be more because of TV advertising going up and all that. But at the same time,
you have to pay all these players, man. These contracts are coming up.
What do we do with Tremaine Edmonds? Are we going to, because he's going to cost money too, so.
And that's another conversation that we can have too, because people were on 2 years ago, people were like, oh, get him out of here. We can get somebody else. It's crazy. You got to let it play out. You have to let it play out. You do.
Have to let it stop reverberating in social media too.
Yes.
So when you see stuff like that, if anybody's listening and you see this stuff ripping around social media, feel free to take a moment and share that we don't need to do that all the time, because it's enough.
And we have ran players out of Buffalo. Let's be honest. Let's just be honest. Well, you have any more? Are you done? Are we conversating some more?
I think I've babbled enough, except for one thing. One thing I do want to say, and it's just my message to everyone. This is an ongoing process that we have in terms of what we went through watching Damar Hamlin and his challenge. We're all still affected by it, and it's okay. Because when you watch football, like for me, I didn't want to see Tua play for that reason, so I know it's still bothering me. But just be nice to one another and understand, because I've seen some comments made by people that, just suck it up and deal with it and move on. Well, that's not how this stuff works.
Yeah.
That's not how PTS works. And it's really important to understand that this is a process. I wrote an article for our blog. It's fanbase.org. Okay, buffalofanbase.org buffalofanbase.com. Got it right. Okay. So I write, as well as I'm the editor there, and I wrote an article this week about the Buffalo Bills not being okay. And that and neither are we,
Right.
That was my first sentence. And in the article, I talked about why it's going to take a while and why we need to show compassion for one another and not be judgmental about how we're all doing. If somebody's still a crybaby, maybe that's because that's what they need to be. And that we all should stop being judgmental about how people deal with their issues in life. So I want to just leave people today with the knowledge and knowing that, for one thing, on Twitter at Robyn MumDYO, you can always hit my DMs if you have a question or there's something that you want to chat about that's bothering you regarding anything. I don't care. Because we need to make sure that we're all okay, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So that's my last thought, is just, I want everybody to know that it's okay not to be okay, and reach out if you need to. And if not, with me, then reach out to a friend, reach out, to someone, because it's going to be an ongoing process for all of us.
A continuance. Like, it just doesn't stop. Just because he's home doesn't mean the prayers should not stop. Buffalo, I think, is going through something right now, and I don't know if we need to sage the city, but there's something going on. So a little less negative and more love would be great. Would be great right now.
Lots more love.
For sure. So we're going to get out of here on some love. Thank you. I appreciate you. You know that. And this is episode 6 of many to come of Tea Time with Robyn. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys stopping by, stepping through, listening. And always hearts out. If you're seeing this on the video, we got hearts. If you're listening, we got hearts growing up. So we love you guys. Peace out. And as always,
Go Bills.
Bills.
You have been listening to Tea Time with Robyn. Go Bills.